God, it's gonna get ugly, man. They're gonna buy you drinks. You're gonna meet girls. They're gonna try to fly you places for free, offer you drugs. And I know it sounds great. These people are not your friends. You know, these are people who want you to write sanctimonious stories about the genius of rock stars, and they will ruin rock and roll and strangle everything we love about it. You know, because they're trying to buy respectability for a form that is gloriously and righteously dumb. You know, and you're smart enough to know that. And the day it ceases to be dumb is the day it ceases to be real. Right? And then it just becomes an industry of cool. I mean, I'm telling you, you're coming along at a very dangerous time for rock and roll. I mean, the war is over. They won. Now, 99% of what passes for rock and roll these days, silence is more compelling. And that's why I think you should just turn around, go back, you know, and be a lawyer or something.
Welcome to the Twice Over. This is your host Faraz. Today I'm here with Farhan and Fahad.
What's going on, everybody?
Hey, everyone.
So today we're discussing Almost Famous, directed by Cameron Crowe, and Farhan selected this movie for Fahad to watch. So Farhan, we're going to get it started with you.
Sure. I think for all of us to watch, but yeah, we're going to go straight to scores. Why waste the time? Let's do our writing scores. I went with an 85 on writing.
I went with an 80, so pretty close behind.
And I went with an 80 as well.
Cool. Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, I like the little bits of humor that are spread throughout the movie. What about you?
Yeah. So, I mean, here I have to kind of preface, I guess, this whole episode. I did recommend this movie. Cameron Crowe is one of my favorite directors of
didn't know that.
Of all time, really. He used to be my favorite. I don't think he's my favorite anymore. The writing, yeah, he uses comedy pretty well. It's not overbearing, and there's a lot of poetry in the dialogue that's in this movie.
Yeah, so I agree with you, Farhan. Like, I thought there's some parts of the movie, some of the writing is actually very quotable and it's very good.
Yeah.
However, this is a coming of age movie. There are parts, depending on when in your life you're watching it, some parts might just seem a little cheesy or cringy.
Very
true. But more or less, it doesn't feel cringy, but that just could be me personally. But I gave it an 80 for that.
So that's Cameron Crowe for you, in any movie that he does. Granted, this is 2000. This movie was the year 2000. Did you guys feel like you were watching a 2000 movie?
No, not really. Why? Did it embody?
I just thought that was interesting.
Okay.
I just thought it was kind of, we were in 4th grade at that time. To give all of our viewers a...
I mean, this was my first time watching it in 2020. The movie didn't feel aged at all. I thought there were a lot of intentional choices made to make it feel like the 70s, the 60s or 70s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it didn't really feel aged.
Absolutely. I think for a movie of that time frame, I mean, 2000, 20 years old, and we still have writing scores this high. So I think that's pretty interesting. What do you guys think on narrative? What are we giving it?
All right, for narrative, I gave it an average score of 70.
I gave it a slightly higher score of 80. Farhan?
Yeah, I'm also at an 80.
Okay. Not
too far off. We're pretty much in disagreement. Yeah, the narrative is... I don't think it's really the main reason you watch it. It is kind of, I would say corny or cliche.
Yeah.
But again,
that's probably the only thing that pulled it down to an average score for me. Because in general, I enjoyed the movie and it's pretty fun. And the audience connection for me, like the coming of age nostalgia factor always is strong with it. I don't know why, but I just enjoy that. But yeah, it is a little...
It's not bad. It's not bad. You think it's average. I think it's a little better than average. Not a big difference.
If you were to ask me to describe the narrative in this movie, I would just say it's a love song to rock and roll in an era gone by.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. That sounds like a quote in the movie, dude.
Does it? Is that the
Are you Lester Bangs or whatever his name is?
Is that what's going to sell the movie to audiences?
Yeah. We can talk about this further, but that is the whole intent of this movie, and it's Cameron Crowe
and his appreciation for that time, right, and the music,
right?
And everything.
His appreciation for that time, and this is supposed to be kind of like a autobiography.
Ooh,
really?
okay.
Of him?
Yeah. At least that's what I've heard in the movie. I didn't really look into it that much. So that's the narrative is but it's sharply inspired by his experience in that time.
Okay.
And he has a lot of movies about rock and roll in that time. So yeah, it's really, really kind of really near to him.
And that's why a lot of the scenes felt very authentic. And I'm guessing that's why, because it's lived through experiences that he kind of...
Right. Right, yeah.
translated into
Yeah.
screen.
Absolutely. Aesthetics. What are you guys thinking?
Aesthetics 90. Loved all the music choices. The movie looked great. A lot of nostalgia portrayed. Yeah. What do you guys have?
I give it an 80. It's 80 mainly because of the music. Otherwise, I didn't think visually I wasn't too impressed by anything. It was
Okay.
good. It was fine.
I'm also in an 80. I'm sort of, I don't know why, but I'm flattered that you think so highly of it. Fahad.
Yeah.
I think
It's-
visually, I agree. Visually,
Uh-huh.
there's not too much. There's a couple of things they do really well, though, and we'll talk about that. But the music is the main thing in this movie.
Yeah, that's where my score is coming from the music.
And that's honestly, any Cameron Crowe movie that you watch,
Mm-hmm.
music plays a huge part. When he decides to start a song and when it transitions into the next scene,
Mm-hmm.
what song exactly is playing and how they set up certain songs. So that's a big thing that he does in his movies. So awesome. Yeah. Cool.
Acting?
Acting, I gave it a 90. I was tempted to go
95?
95.
Wow. All right.
However, this is one of those movies, and I don't know. I when you watch a Cameron Crowe movie, you have some great performances
Uh-huh.
coupled with a bunch of really bad ones.
Ooh, so what were the bad ones? To you, at least. Did you
I can't pinpoint a particular character, but I can pinpoint
specific scenes? Oh, I see.
Specific scenes. So overall, the acting. I mean, there are some moments where it's some of my favorite performances in any movie anywhere.
Uh-huh.
There's some moments where I'm just like, this
Wow.
is literally cringeworthy, you know. But
So
so
yeah.
I was tempted to go lower, but I was also tempted to go higher. So I'm going with the 90.
Okay.
I'm giving it what it's due, what I believe.
Fahad, what did you give it?
I don't disagree with a lot of what Farhan said. I gave it a score of 85, not too far behind. Yeah, a lot of great actors were in this movie. Kate Hudson.
It's Philip Seymour Hoffman for you, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's all
Oh.
it is.
True. Yeah, he had like two, 3 scenes where he stole the show. Billy Crudup was great. Frances McDormand was great. Kate Hudson was but she was fine. And then the actors all had like signature micro expressions that they had in this movie. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the camera tends to focus on actors even after they're done speaking or something, just to capture the little bits of moments after.
Yep.
And I think
that's something I have literally written down before and after, actually.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
So I gave this a 65, guys.
Wow. Right.
Yeah, so I don't like necessarily disagree with a lot of what both of you said. And individually, I can see why, okay, the performances are solid. But I don't know, when you brought it all together, a lot of the chemistry felt super forced to me.
Oh, really? All right.
Interesting.
But you thought the movie
I
was
think
fun,
certain
right?
scenes, absolutely. Certain
It's,
scenes,
it's a little like
absolutely.
deliberate, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like you were mentioning with Cameron Crowe's trying to make sure he gets the capture the emotion before and after his the actor's line. All of that is all well and good, but it's just so deliberate that it just doesn't flow for me. Like the acting just doesn't seem as natural to me.
Okay.
All right, I'll convince you.
It's just me, I guess. But yeah, because you guys are very close on it, and I'm at 65. So
No, it's all right. I mean, I think that you can very easily be swayed to give this a lower score in the acting if you're paying really close attention. Because of, like I said, there's so many scenes that are just so poorly acted. Not even scenes, I'll say parts of scenes. But yeah, we can get into that.
all right, so themes is left.
I don't know, what's the theme of this movie? man?
I'll give you my score.
Okay.
So this is the highest score that I gave it, 95.
Okay.
Really?
Because it's a coming of age story, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
That's what,
for sure.
That's what hook, line, and sink to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's you said 90 or 95, I forget.
95.
95. Okay. So for you, that's one of the main reasons that you would watch this movie, huh?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. I went with an 80.
Yeah, I also went with an 80.
Fahad, you and I are just the same people, dude. You know what's really funny is I was kind of really looking. I was really looking forward to this. One of the first things that I knew about Fahad when I met him was that he liked movies, and we talked about movies every time we met.
And then I think you
so-
mentioned watch Almost Famous, but it's not until this year that I watched it. So yeah,
It's all. I mean, how many times do people tell you to watch movies?
a
and you're just
million
like, "Oh,
times.
Yeah.
A million times. Yeah, that's true. One of Faraz's favorite
So-
movies I've been putting off.
Yeah.
Cinema Paradiso. Faraz.
Oh,
Paradiso,
I need to
yeah.
catch that one.
That
love
would be
it.
interesting one to do, huh? That'd be an
That
interesting one
is
to do.
easily my number one, which is like
Number
insane
one
to
movie
say.
of all time?
For me, yeah.
Wow.
Like I have like a top like maybe 15, 20, and then like that one is just clearly number one for me.
Interesting.
Like otherwise, like the next four out of my top five, I probably couldn't order them exactly because it depends on how I feel. But that's my number one for sure.
So I wanted to say something about the scores for this movie. For me, the movie was more than the sum of its parts. So I'm looking at the scores that I gave it, and I enjoyed this movie much more than my scores indicate. It was just a fun movie, and it's a good watch.
Yeah, you know what? It's so interesting that you say that. This is the only movie of Cameron Crowe's that is rated as highly. I mean, this thing, Fraz, what awards does this win? I mean, a bunch, right?
I'm not sure, man.
Won an Academy Award, Best
Did it?
Screenplay, Best Writing, and
Really?
I think
Okay.
Kate Hudson won Best Supporting Actress.
Wow. I didn't think her performance was good at all. I thought it was decent.
It won one Oscar. It won Best Writing. You're right. And then no, it was nominated for Best Supporting Role by Kate Hudson.
Okay.
At Academy Awards, but she won a Golden Globe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she won the Golden Globe. You're right.
So that's what I'm looking at right now. And yes, Best Screenplay was nominated, but then it won Best Screenplay. Here's the thing. This movie is really close in terms of overall feel, in terms of even the actors, the choice of actors, or the way that the actors perform, the dialogue. It's really close to another movie called Elizabethtown, which is rated terribly. Like really badly. But if you watch this movie right after, or you kind of watch them next to each other, there's so many similarities between them. For some reason, the overall feel of a Cameron Crowe movie is a lot better than the sum of its parts.
Okay.
And I don't know. I mean, I do know what it is, but we can talk about that. So it's really interesting you said that, though.
Elizabethtown is one of those movies Farn has told me to watch, and I've never watched it.
All right.
Yeah.
I might watch it.
You have watched it. We watched it together, I'm sure.
Did we? I don't think so, man. I remember Rehan making fun of you for it. That's all. I don't think I was there with you guys. Maybe you guys watched it together.
I see. Maybe. That would be hilarious, actually. So yeah, really interesting. What? So Fraz.
I mean, if you look at the scores, man, both you guys clearly like this movie a lot more than me. 84 and 83. I only like one aspect of this movie, which is like the feeling that you get from it, which is the nostalgia. And then, even though I don't relate to that life at all, really, right? Not even rock and roll music's not my type of music. But like the themes of like finding oneself, it's just something I enjoy way too much, and that's the main reason I watched this movie. And I recommend this movie too. Like I do think it's an easy watch and it's entertaining, so I do recommend this movie.
What you gave it some pretty poor scores. What are your reasons to not watch the movie? You think?
I personally don't think you'll find good acting here. Overall, maybe individually, certain scenes here and there you might capture like some moments that are well acted, but overall, I didn't think it was a well acted movie. Otherwise, I thought it was like an average movie. I didn't think anything else like stood out so much. So it's not like I hated it, but
Here's what I'll say about the acting. And I've said this before about other movies, and this one I think this is probably the reason that this was rated so highly compared to other movies of his. If you put other actors in these roles, the movie will not shine.
Okay.
Take Kate Hudson out and put any actress other than Kate Hudson in that role.
How about Natalie Portman? You think it would work?
No, she's too dramatic. She's way too dramatic, I think, So
Yeah.
I don't, and that's not a bad thing. It's just I don't think her role is really fit for something like this. I think the closest that you can go would be
it's
like
well casted.
right, but I think
Sure.
that's kind of for how highly. I mean, this movie was. I mean, it was touted for awards, and it won a couple big ones. And it's easily his most famous movie, even though this is the same director that did Jerry Maguire. He did We Bought a Zoo way later on. Wasn't rated really highly.
That's the
But-
one with Matt Damon.
That's Matt Damon and
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson. But yeah, I mean, we can talk about it. I do disagree, but that's interesting. I mean, acting's. I think the narrative is not really the high point of this movie. Personally, the writing is really good. The aesthetics. You're not watching this movie if you want to see something that if you're looking for cinematography.
But for aesthetics, we've got to consider sound too. So
Well, that's true. We do have to consider sound. So it depends on what you're looking for. You've heard of the scores.
All right, we'll leave it at that for this portion of the podcast, and now we'll see you on the other side where we are discussing the entire movie with all spoilers.
Thanks for listening to this production of The Twice Over. If you haven't already, subscribe and follow wherever you get your podcast, and remember to support us on Patreon or by sharing the podcast with a friend. Feel free to contact us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at The Twice Over, or email us at comments@thetwiceover.com. All of the music you heard is from Amerigo Gazaway. Check him out on Bandcamp and Spotify.